What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. And today, me and Matthew, are blessed with the opportunity to get to sit down and talk with Penn State legend, now University of Pennsylvania assistant coach. I don't think he needs an introduction, but Mark Hall, welcome to the show, man.
I appreciate the love, man. Thank you.
Of course, Mark. And, what haven't you done? I think is at the point that we're at right now with you, man. It's like we get very few opportunities to speak to a guy your caliber, so it's awesome to get you on and kind of talk to us, Mark. Is when did it all begin? When did Mark Hall become Mark Hall? When first time you strapped up the shoes, man? And talk a little bit about your high school journey before you hit the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, I started when I was 4. I started when I was 4. My dad and my brother wrestled, so that's what kind of got me into it. And then, man, from when I started, like anytime I went to a tournament and I didn't win, like you better believe I was going back to that tournament the next year because I wanted to win it. I wanted to. I had a lot of. I wanted to. I always had like a knack for getting better and learning new things and trusting my coaches, no matter where I was at. And so getting into that and then going into high school, I went to Apple Valley High School. I was teammates with guys like Seth Gross, Gable Steveson, um, Destin McCauley, who was a great high school wrestler. Great, I think he won a couple D2 or a couple time D2 national or D2 All American. So I had just a lot of great teammates and stuff that taught me the right ways to go about life and go about wrestling. And there I was Minnesota's first 6-time state champion. And so
what was your high school record?
I think 280 something and 7.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
280 something and 7, maybe 260, somewhere with I couldn't tell you, maybe 260, somewhere between 260, 280 and 7. I know I lost 7 times, but
that's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, wild, dude. I think I had like 150 pins or something up there.
You see, like
over 100 pins.
Okay, it's like 100 wins. You're a good wrestler. Good wrestler gets 100 wins in their career.
Oh yeah, people celebrate. Like it deserves to be celebrated. For
you
sure.
got 200 wins plus another 60 to 70, and then 150 pins.
Yeah,
like there's got to be very few people. So who have been able to do that, like get close to 100 pins. Even 100 is. I know, like I think I saw somebody. I think Ben Keeter, for who's committed to Iowa. I think he got his 100th pin this season, and like that's impressive. Like you get 100 pins, that's quite impressive, man. But I think I would say you're probably had the best high school wrestling career ever. I'm gonna say it. Might be an unpopular opinion. Some people might argue that in the comments, but I'm going to say you had probably the best high school career I've ever seen. Like,
thank you.
Has there ever been another 6-timer since? No.
Not in Minnesota, no. Logan Storley was one in South Dakota. He's the only other one that I know. There might have been one in Florida too, but Logan Storley is the only other one that I know of.
So not in Minnesota. And I mean, when you talk about Minnesota wrestling, I think pretty much 95% of the people go right to Apple Valley.
Yep. We're a powerhouse.
They are the Minnesota powerhouse.
We won 6 team state titles too. We won team state every year I was in high school as well.
Oh man, so 6-time individual state title, 6-time individual state champ, 6-time team state champ. That I don't want to see your trophy room at your house. I'm sure if you spread out your collection of trophies from youth till now senior level, I think you could probably fill a room floor to ceiling.
Probably.
Because I know, like, there's every time I look at a youth bracket and I'll see it on Facebook or on Twitter, it'll be like, this was the most powerhouse youth bracket ever. And I swear you were in it or you won it every single time. You were like everywhere with youth wrestling as well.
Yeah. Me and my dad, We would always travel with probably at least 3 or 4 other wrestlers from our area at our club. We just made it fun, man. Like that was the best part about it. Like to me, it obviously was about the wrestling and going to these different tournaments, but mostly it was just like that was how I hung out with my friends. Like we were going to Oklahoma, Nevada, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, like all these tough wrestling places, tough wrestling tournaments and stuff, and traveling all around the country. Like I just didn't do that with. I played soccer and football too. Like I never left. I never left the state for soccer or football. You know what I'm saying? So it was awesome. Like being able, not only being able to wrestle, but I mean, those guys that we traveled with are still my best friends to this day, and the people I was competing against, like at these tournaments and seeing all the time, like they're most of them are people that I'm still competing with or against, or at some aspect was doing that throughout college. Like so, there was a lot of rich tradition in these places I was going.
Definitely, and man, we have to ask, where do you think Minnesota wrestling ranks up against other states?
You know what's funny? So before I got to Minnesota, I did a year in Kentucky, um, and I wrestled in 7th grade in Kentucky, and I ended up taking I was a state runner up, and so the joke was always like with a lot of my Kentucky family, right, my friends and family there. The joke was always like, "Oh, Kentucky State's so much better than Minnesota. Like you never won Kentucky State, but you won Minnesota State." Um, but Minnesota wrestling is good. I think one thing that makes Minnesota, well, that I saw at least like when I was in high school, was like the freestyle and Greco portion. Like Minnesota always brings hammers to Fargo, and junior duels, cadet duels. They're always like, if they're not winning, they're up there and they're close. At least that's how it was when I was in school. Um, and so it was never like, it wasn't a season thing for us in Minnesota. Like we were, as soon as folk style season was over, we were getting ready for Fargo. We were getting ready for those freestyle tournaments, and it it just built a good culture. Being able to train at my high school, and then um, going from training my high school and bringing in different dudes who wanted to get better and wanted to win those Fargo titles and stuff. So um, folk style wise, I want to know, like, we haven't recruited a kid from Minnesota yet, but I would love to. But as far as freestyle, man, I know they put a big emphasis on it there.
Yeah, man. So any Minnesota kids out there that that think you got the dog in you, reach out to Mark Hall, reach out to the University of Pennsylvania, man.
You got to get good grades, though.
Yeah,
we don't want you if you don't got the grades. Well,
yeah.
we want you, but like we just can't take you if you don't got the grades.
It's that Ivy League life, man. It's a little different
Yeah,
than
it
so
is.
hopping into that kind of thing, man. Talk about Penn State. I mean, obviously it's been a lot of your life. You were part of probably one of the most, if not the most legendary college team ever. You were part of
Dangerous.
Murderers Row, that legendary lineup that I think would probably beat any team at any time.
Mhm.
Insane. So talk a little bit about your recruiting, man. How did Kale get you to Penn State?
It Coach Kale, he probably, I wouldn't say he got on late, but I would say I didn't develop like a really good relationship with him until late. Um, I really got to what really got me was I got to know, um I would say I got to know Varner at the 2015 World Championships. He was competing, and I think just like, or no, he was the alternate that year. That was the year Kyle Steiner made the team. But I spent a lot of time with him, right, playing card games, just shooting, talking about life, man. And I was in high school at the time, so it was super cool being able to talk with him. Him and JB were our most, at the time, our most recent um, Olympic gold medalists, and so that was 2015, and at that point I was a junior going into my senior year, and I was just thinking about starting to get in my official visits and such, and yeah, so they came in around my junior and senior year, but I mean there were plenty of places that, like, I didn't even like Penn State was good and they had really good teams, but I didn't really think about going there until that time, until I got to know Varner. So as much as it was Coach Kale, like a big part of that was just the relationship I've had with Varner and the great relationship we still have today. Um, but yeah, it was awesome, and just knowing like when I was going there, uh, I knew I had to be really flexible, and I've always been one to move, so been one to move around and doing the best things I could for my wrestling career. So moving far away from home and living in Minnesota, going to Pennsylvania wasn't that big of a deal. It was almost it was kind of blasphemous, like not going to Minnesota in a way. You know, like there were people who were disappointed, but I mean, I think they understood, and I think like I think they understood, and as far as my career went, like I wouldn't take it back for anything, bro. I'm grateful for the career that I had. I wrestled every match I could, you know,
Yeah.
every opportunity I had
Definitely.
to wrestle, I was
Yeah,
wrestling.
we talked about that a little bit before we got the cameras rolling. Mark actually never missed a college match. He was
Mm-hmm.
blessed, knock on wood again. He never had a big injury, never, nothing like that ever happened. So you're one of those
Yeah,
few guys that as soon as that red shirt was taken off, you went and you really honestly you did everything you could.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's not, dude. That's not to say I wasn't competing, like not feeling good, like
Oh
little
yeah.
things, like maybe a
A little
little
banged
sick,
up.
Yeah.
maybe
High ankle
like
sprain here and there or
yeah, like one thing I had a problem with and still have a problem with was my right thumb. I've It's like my right thumb. I used to have a really good grip, and like the longer I went through college, I mean it was still good, but like my thumb is has been messed up for a while, and so if I ever jammed it or something, like, and I never taped it up, I just learned how to start like wrestling like this with my my thumb in and not posting it out this way. But I mean you can see like I can't I can't bend it
Oh wow.
past that.
yeah.
Like I can get this one all the way down, but this one doesn't go much further. Um, but yeah, just like those things, like if I could, like I was always in shape, and if I could shoot, and if I could ride somebody, get away, I was wrestling. You know, if there was nothing hindering that, I was going, and just had a really good support system, support staff that kept me healthy, kept a lot of us healthy. But yeah, yeah, I mean that's something I'm really proud of. Like, not a lot of people get to say that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously wrestling through those little injuries or sicknesses that worked because you had a stunning college career.
Thank you. Yeah, it just it helps you figure it out. Like I know if I can win wrestling matches with a little sickness or like a little like tweaks and stuff there, like I can win wrestling matches when I'm super healthy. You know, so having that kind of confidence going in, um, it's like that stuff's unwavering. You know, like no matter what, I know I'm putting out the best product I can.
Yeah, I mean, just talk a little bit about the brotherhood you built, man. I think one of like I said it, earlier, probably the best college wrestling team of all time.
Yeah,
Yourself, Zane Rutherford, Jason Nolf, Vincenzo
yeah,
Joseph, Bo Nickel.
yeah,
What's it like? What was it like wrestling with guys of that caliber? And you guys really solidified, the name Murderers Row. It was back to
yeah,
back to back, and there was a lot of times where it was pin, 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 out of you guys,
yeah,
man. And talk a little bit about those guys and how they still are, in your life and everything like that.
yeah. Here's the thing: is like as good as good wrestlers we were. Like, make no mistake, the culture that we had was like, now that I'm a coach, like I see how important that is. Like the culture that we had was probably some of the best, like the best cultured teams I've ever been around. Like we were all close. Not just us five. Obviously having that like going back to back and that row of weights that we were at made it probably easier, right? Like knowing I was always going after Chenzo. Chenzo knew he was always going after Jason, like having that security. But as far as like the off the mat and the practice room kind of thing, not even the competing, like we had a really good cultured team that spent a lot of time with each other. And it's not like Coach Kale was like asking us like, hey, you guys need to spend more time with each other, or like he wasn't saying like the culture on this team isn't good enough. Like it was just us. Like we knew how important it was to be good at wrestling, but we also knew how important it was like being good people and being good to each other. And that kind of stuff, like it takes work. It doesn't happen by accident. And so that's one thing I'm also really proud of, is like not only learning how to be a good wrestler, but like learning how to learning what a good culture looks like. That now that I can look back on that, yeah, man, we had some really good memories. I mean, outside of the wrestling room, in the wrestling room, but at the same time, we had some really like some growing pains. Like I mean, starting my freshman year, I didn't just go in and was like beating people. Like I took my licks just like everybody else did. I had to learn a lot of things just like everybody else did, and and I'm I can't speak for them, but I'm sure it was similar for them in that aspect. And but it was always encouragement. It was always encouragement from them. It was always positive energy, and we just did a good job of what it looks like to be good athletes.
Yeah, and I think we saw that because it ended up being that none of you guys were able to get four national titles, and I think
Yeah.
that almost I think that almost made you guys better, because it made it look like you guys actually struggled. You went through, like you said, you got your licks taken, man. There was some matches where it didn't go your way, it didn't go Bo's way, it didn't go Jason's way, and I feel like that only made you guys stronger, because you have to win together and you have to lose together. So
Yeah, 100%. I mean, here's the other thing, dude. My senior year, we qualified. I'm pretty sure we qualified 6 or 7 wrestlers from the Big Ten championships. The NCAA championships didn't end up happening, but we qualified 6 or 7. I want to say 6, but like going into that tournament, like there was not a doubt in our mind we could have won. We could have won with 6 guys, which is unheard of and would have been really hard to do. But when you have 6 guys who are aware of what they have to do for that to happen, I mean, it wasn't about winning for us. It was about um, going out there and going to work. Like when you, and that's just the mindset that we were taught, right? Like um, we were taught like you're not in the sport to win. You're in the sport to score points. You're in the sport to um, counterattack every time someone attacks you. You're in the sport to get to your own offense, um, riding guys out, getting away, getting bonus points. Because with 6 wrestlers, you're not going to win the NCAAs. Even if we had 6 All Americans out of those 6 guys, you're not winning NCAAs with that by just winning wrestling matches. So um, even though those NCAA championships got canceled, we had the utmost confidence. And just like I said with that culture thing, right? Because we had Tony Casara got hurt that year and he was out. Suriano had transferred and was gone. We had woes at 125, which was really tough on our team.
and
We had
and a lot of people like to call it. They call it the Siriano curse.
yeah,
They do, man,
yeah.
because it seems like it's just one of those things, man. And you're hopeful every year. And it's like,
Yeah, dude, we had some really hard workers at 125. Do not get me wrong. Like guys who
100%.
came in and they wrestled hard. It's just like just that little skill gap that like just kept them a little skill gap that just kept them from winning wrestling matches really like. But as far as work ethic,
Oh
they were
yeah,
up there
no,
with
and
some of the
that's the
best.
thing is that's the thing that bothers me is when like we'll make a post about Penn State and then the current team, and people will say things about Gary, and I'm like, listen, I'm a PA guy. I grew up watching Gary wrestle at States, and I know how
Mm-hmm.
good Gary Steen is. I know he's a really good wrestler. Does he
Mm-hmm.
need a little bit more development and a little more time? Yes, but guess what? He still strapped up those shoes every time that Kale needed him to do, every time he needed to go out there.
Yeah,
He
and
could have said no.
those
Yeah,
people talking crap are on their couch, bro. Like
yeah.
that,
Like he
and their opinions don't matter. They're
yeah,
null and void.
like he still went out there and competed against these top guys in the country.
Yeah,
Did it go
yeah,
his way? Sometimes no, sometimes yes. But like
yeah,
it's like at the end of the day, the kid's 18, 19 years old. He's
yeah,
and wrestling 125 pounds. Like
yeah. So
they got a lot to development, man. I give
yeah,
shout out to all those 25 pounders. They're watching them make weight is some of the toughest thing to do, man. It's brutal. It's
yeah,
brutal. It's brutal.
yeah,
I'm sure being a
yeah.
coach, I'm sure you know
Um,
some got with some of your guys that got to make 25. I'm sure you're like,
oh yeah. I mean, lifetime 125 pounders are like unicorns, bro.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
you just don't see them. Their kids are growing. Um, but anyways, like with that, like we had a lot of hardship and we had a lot of duels that on paper we were probably like close to winning and but like those six guys did a really good job of like elevating. Like we knew going into a lot of dual meets like we're not just gonna be able to win. It's not enough. We had to get bonus points in a lot of those. So yeah, we had a lot of growing pains my senior year and I'm still proud of the team that we were on. And that just again it goes back to not only were we good wrestlers, but the culture there.
good
Like
people.
that almost was like it had to be like reset. Like we're we don't have we don't have five weight classes in a row where we can have national champions anymore. Like how are we going to win wrestling matches? How are we going to win dual meets? And we were doing a good job of figuring it out. So I'm proud of the 4 years that I spent there.
Yeah, and I mean, how could you not? At the
Mm-hmm.
as a team, you guys were you were those guys, man. You were the I know
Yeah, we had hammers.
I personally was able to get, the opportunity to go to one of the Penn State wrestling camps, and it
Mm-hmm.
was so fun. Just like the atmosphere that you guys put on and like just how you guys are to like the kids and stuff, and it's just awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
I did get the opportunity to wrestle Anthony Cassar, and he did pin me in 5 seconds, but that was
yeah,
besides
yeah,
the point of the camp. It was awesome. And talk, a little bit I think is Kale kind of created this fundamental thing of before practice. And I think that now you see it pretty much in every wrestling room. It was the game playing a game before practice. And I know you guys were big dodgeball people.
oh
So
yeah.
so what was that kind of like as an athlete, coming from, high school? Now you got some guy throwing dodgeballs at you before you're about to start wrestling practice. Like, so what was that kind of like for you?
There was a lot of interesting things that Coach Kale did, and yeah, one of those was the fun of games, right? But you heard him say it in one of his interviews at NCA's was there are a lot of games of life, um, and when it comes down to it, all sports are essentially games, and some games you like, some games you don't like, and I mean this is probably like to some people, it's probably just like you play dodgeball, you go to practice. But to me, it was like it was just another thing to be competitive at.
Competitive, yep.
And I'll tell you what, like I wasn't gonna be. I mean, I and like a lot of guys on our team, like we weren't gonna like work really hard in dodgeball and not work hard in wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, um, we weren't gonna like we had a lot of fun playing those games, but like if the work ethic wasn't there, like that, those games were taken away. So I mean that's one thing, and you do see a lot of people adopting that now. And another thing that's just, it's a great warm up. It's better than jogging around a room for 10 minutes. Um, it's better than, right, like just grabbing a partner and going and wrestling for 2 hours. Like getting in something a little different was always it's
Get
always good.
sweating, get moving.
Yes.
And while you're playing, you're pretty much stretching, just getting all
Yes.
warmed up.
Yeah. So that was the other thing I acted as. But there's a couple other things that Coach Kell did that not a lot of other places do. Is like, um, during our wrestling practice, we would listen to one song,
Oh, why?
one song,
Yeah,
over
man.
and over and over. And you like, I wouldn't even hear it after like the first two times. A lot of times, like
It just
I'm
so
like, oh,
happened
what
that
do we
when I
listen
was
to
at the
today?
camp, man, when I was at the camp, it was Old Town Road. Tail
Oh
Sanders
yeah,
loved Old Town Road. I remember
yeah,
doing the stadium run and then running the steps after. And I
yeah.
remember just this big speaker, and it was just Old Town Road. And I was like,
Over and over and over. Yeah.
it was like, I'm like, number
Um,
one, I want to know where he found a 10-hour remix of Old Town Road just replayed 10 hours straight because it was
yeah,
ridiculous.
dude, it'd be so funny. Like we were just used to it. Like
Hmm.
no one argued it. There was one time my freshman year, I was like, I asked if I could change the song, and he was like, no. I was like, okay, and I never asked again. But it would be so funny when like other teams would come in and they'd be training, right? Like we'd split the room up with the tarps or
Mhm.
whatever. They'd be training on the other side, and
You guys always got the radio
we
side
would
so that
just
you
be
could change
vibing,
it.
man. And they would come over and be like, hey, like, can we change the song? And then listen to the same song over and over. And sometimes we just say no, but sometimes we'd like make a joke out of it. We'd be like, yeah, just wait for the next one. Wait for the next song. It'd be the same song. Man, but I mean, just like little things like that, like just teams weren't, it's frustrating if you're not used to it. That was one thing. And another thing that we did was like we didn't sometimes when you start a practice, you shoot a couple times without finishing. You take your shots and you get in and then you let it go. Like from start to finish, we finished our shots. There was never a time where you were in on a leg and you didn't finish, where you were when you were drilling or sparring. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I loved it, and I think it's really good. It teaches really good muscle memory, obviously, from doing it from start to finish. But that's another thing that not a lot of college programs do that I've noticed is like just that type of attitude of like if you're in on a leg, you're finishing. It doesn't matter if it's the first minute of practice or if it's the last minute of practice. So um, he some of those cultural things that he developed or that he developed and as will continue to develop. It's like I know if I go other places, I have a freedom of shooting and not finishing at the beginning of practice. But when I'm in the Penn State room and I'm still like this to this day, like if I ever go back, like I know if I shoot and I don't finish, he's gonna say something to me. So I don't do that in there.
Yeah, man. I mean, did you kind of fall in love with Pennsylvania, man? We see now you're the
Dude, I
assistant
love
coach at
Pennsylvania, bro. I love
assistant wrestling
Pennsylvania.
coach at Penn, and I'm sure you were blessed with that opportunity, and it's awesome to see you still in the sport. I love like watching like big tournaments, and I just look in the corner. I'm like, oh, it's Mark Hall. Like,
There's
cool.
Mark.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Mark
Yep.
Hall's in the corner, man, and it's been awesome, I'm sure. And are you
Yeah.
you're still planning on competing, right? Are you gonna go to
Yep.
Vegas?
I'll be wrestling in Vegas. Yeah, like you were saying, like I love Pennsylvania, dude. Like I love the opportunity I got at the PRTC and coaching. Um, one thing that makes it good is like I want to coach when I'm done, and I wanted to coach after I was done wrestling since college. Um, and so this was just a really good place to do that. And I don't feel like missing out on just being an athlete. Like they do a really good job with me. Like I have a lot of freedom to do what I need, and at the same time, I'm learning what it really takes to be a good coach. And that, and so I'm really blessed with where I'm
Yeah,
at.
maybe you can also get in Bo Nichols' corner in the octagon.
That would be
That would
something,
be
man.
sick. That would
That
be
would be
sick.
something, man.
He's been killing it, man. He's a freaking dog. Every time he fight, like I don't usually buy UFC fights. Like I like watching the highlights and stuff after, but I've never been like big enough fan to like to get into it like that. And every time he fights, bro, I'm buying that card because I want to watch him
He's
compete.
buying the card. He's watching the whole thing through, and
Yep.
yeah, I think this
Yep.
next one he's gonna be on a pretty good card. I think John Jones is gonna fight on his next card. Apparently, that's the plan. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's awesome to
Yeah.
see like where you guys are at now in life. We see Nolf is doing his thing, and he's still I think he's still competing. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I would
Yep.
assume he's still going at it, and Chenzo is doing his thing, and it's just awesome to see Anthony Casares doing his thing, taking his shot at fighting as well. Kind of
Yep.
following Bo's footsteps there, which is awesome, man. But we're gonna get into some questions for you. I know for me, I think this is gonna be kind of a group thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Let's do it.
top number one Penn State moment of your whole career. So I'll
Yeah.
throw it to Matthew. He'll say his. I'll do mine, and then we'll save yours for the end. So Matthew, being a fan of wrestling, what was your number one Penn State moment? And don't steal mine because I know you know what mine is.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of great Penn State moments. I don't think I could just pick one.
You can't. That's funny.
Like every year, there's just always something so
Yeah.
spectacular. So I'm just
Yeah.
watching Penn State. Something crazy always happens.
All right. Well, me personally, big fan of the big men. I love a 97 pounder. I love a heavyweight. I'm going for when Tony put the boots on and got out there and beat Colin Moore. Shout out Colin Moore. I think Colin Moore's a good dude. We've had the opportunity to talk to Colin, but one of the
Mm-hmm.
craziest matches, Kassar came out there and nobody really knew a lot about him, and he beat the number one guy in the country. So I think that was
Yeah.
probably pretty much one of the best moments in my opinion.
Yeah. So I was gonna say my favorite was definitely that dual meet. But I'll give you a little like backstory to that of what that was like. I was just talking about this the other day, but at 197, people who don't know, Shakur Rashid was our starter. He beat Tony in the wrestle off, and he was starting for most of the year. They might have had some had some like back and forth, right? Like Tony might wrestle on a Friday, Shaq would wrestle on a Sunday, kind of thing, once or twice. But Shaq was the starter at 197, and uh, yeah, we all kind of knew the plan. But one thing about Coach Kell was that I wouldn't call it secretive, but like he was gonna do what he was gonna do, and the team was gonna like it. Like that's just like that's the culture that we had. I never questioned him, bro. Like I knew he knows a lot about wrestling, obviously. So I was never gonna question what he was doing. And when we figured out that Tony was wrestling, we were so excited because like as you guys saw, like when Tony decided to go up to heavyweight, like he cut his butt off for 197.
Yeah.
Right. So
He a big
we were
boy.
excited for him when we were really excited for him when he decided to go up. And when he got the opportunity to wrestle Colin, there was zero animosity between like Shaq and him. They're the best of friends. Like there was zero animosity of like why are you like Shaq's the starter? Why are you wrestling Tony? Like there was none of that. And so when Tony went out and beat him, bro, it was like it was it's still one of the most like insane things because here we have a dual meet that we probably have no business winning, and on top of that, we're missing Jason, and we're wrestling our backup in 197.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like on top of like there's so many little things that go into that duel that I love so much, um and it I always remind and I'm like for now I'm in a coaching position, like I'm always reminding our kids like, dude, even if even and the other thing about it, like Shaq was 100% healthy. This was just like a great coaching
Hale knew.
decision.
Like I wonder if
Yeah,
it was like he saw something like in the film and like saw how like Tony like did this move or knew like
I'm sure he did.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure
sure he
there
did.
was some kind of like I'm watching Colin Moore wrestling. I think Tony's style has a lot better opportunity to capitalize than Shakur Rashid's style.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's exactly what happened. And so I'm always telling our kids like, dude, you could wrestle at any time of the year. Like you have to be ready. And if
Yeah.
you're not ready, it's gonna show that you're not ready. So that's a really good lesson for. I mean, that's one of my favorite memories because of stuff like that. Like not only winning the duel, but like making sure as a coach, like from top to bottom, starter, non-starter, like we were always ready to wrestle. We loved wrestling. We loved the game of wrestling. So yeah, that's an awesome story.
100%, man. I think that was a super hype, super hype moment, man. One of
Best sporting event I've ever been to.
you think?
I've been to football game. I've been to whiteouts at Penn State. I've been to NFL games, right? Like I've been all over the place, dude. I've seen a lot of sporting events. That was the best sporting event I've ever been to.
Now, do you
Sick.
think, in your opinion, do you think that the Penn State wrestling fans are the best fans in all of wrestling?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, because
Have you ever
yes, because
seen
they
the BJC packed
did.
standing room only,
Yeah,
man
it's
in the
packed to
middle,
the
man?
brim
Yeah, you
of
got
people
like
that just love wrestling.
you got NFL players in the crowd, and
Yeah,
it's something, man. It's
yeah.
something.
It's
It's
yeah, yeah.
man.
People like the people there love wrestling, but like I, I'm I'm I'm
The
thankful
state.
I don't know. I'm thankful I don't know what it's like to be in a away team coming to wrestle here. I'm
Yeah,
thankful I don't have to do that because like it's tough.
yeah,
People
man.
people come to. I mean, just like I mean, people will say this like me and Carver Hawkeye, like dude, that place sucks to wrestle in too. But at the same time, like people come to Rec Hall and you see it, bro. They just their energy is just sapped away from them. It's like it's like everybody has a wand and is pointing it at these guys, and they just pull every little bit of hope out of them just by how
Yeah,
loud they are, how much
the
they love the
atmosphere
sport.
is definitely
Yeah,
amazing. And
it's different.
yeah, it's crazy. And like, what's your like mentality going into a home meet rather than like away?
I mean, it's nice. Like I wouldn't say there's not a lot of differences. It's nice, right? Being able to sleep in my own bed. It's nice being able to right. I'm waking up going to if it's on a Friday, I'm waking up going to class. Like it's regular routine stuff. That's the glory of it. It's really comfortable. Um, and and then another thing I would say is like just being able to not only spending time with the starters, but like being around the whole team. When you travel, you get the 10 guys who are wrestling plus maybe three or four, right? So you don't get to spend time with the whole team when you're traveling and being able to, right, practice with the whole team on Thursday. Um, and seeing those guys in the stands, the guys that you work so hard with, like that's the special part about like those home matches. And on top of that, right, like just knowing you have a crowd like that behind you who wants to see you win and wants to see you do well. Like no matter who you are, right? If you're myself or right, like those times we were talking about the tough situations we are having on 125 or any backup who was wrestling, like if you had a Penn State singlet on, you're one of us, right? So it was just we had some really good moments with things like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely, man. I'm gonna kind of throw the mic over to Rose and let him do his little segment. He has some wrestling questions, a couple, some stuff related to wrestling, some stuff not, and then he has some good restaurant and food related questions to ask you. So we're excited to hear what the
All
answers
right,
are for those, man. So I'm gonna
all
let
right, sounds good.
Rosa have the mic here.
Let's
I'm
do
gonna
it.
start with just a new one we've been doing. Favorite walkout song.
Favorite walkout song, like for me or like someone
Yeah, for
else?
you.
One, okay. Favorite walkout song that I had. Um, some people told me this was lame, but I really liked my walkout song my senior year. It was "Rock Around the Clock." It's like it's from like the 60s or 70s, bro. It's a really old, like old school, like I guess rock song. And I love that song. I thought it was really cool. A lot of people thought it was lame. Like the kids on the team that I coach now, like there's no way in a million years any of them would walk out to that. Right? They're all walking out to like modern, like Drake and things like that. But that was probably one of my favorite walkout songs. That and I did Rockin' Robin was another one of my
That's
good ones.
that's gas. That's fun.
Yeah,
That's good, man.
yeah, that one was a good one too.
Yeah.
Let's say you don't have a walkout song and you're just trying to hype yourself up. What do you listen to before match, pre-match?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes I'm listening to like one of my favorite songs to listen to is Silence by Marshmello and Khalid. That one I don't know why. It's just like it's a really like good vibey song. Kind of settles me down. If I'm looking to get excited, I'll probably throw on like some Lil Wayne or something. Um, Sorry for the Wait by Lil Wayne. It's that remix he does to like Rolling in the Deep by Adele.
Yeah,
That song fires me up. It's pretty vulgar, but that song gets me going. That gets the blood pumping.
Definitely, man.
But let's see here. Favorite neutral attack.
I've always been. It's interesting. I've always been a high crotch guy, but I think throughout college, you guys know, like a duck under, a good, clean, like crisp duck under, like it looks nice, it's flashy. It's not. I mean, sometimes you gotta grind through it, but a lot like if you do it right, you can really get a guy out of position. So I would say a duck under. I'm all for like those basic the high crotch and single leg though. Like that's those were right top attacks for me. But if I could set it up right and get a good duck under, it was always fluid.
Yeah, nothing feels better than a nice clean duck. Oof.
Yeah, bro.
I
I
mean,
agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever done, too many duck unders in my life, but
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Hey,
I was
truthfully,
more of the heavyweight duck. The heavyweight duck under is a throw by. You hit a nice throw by to a knee
throwbacks.
pick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
throwbacks.
yeah, that's
Those are fair too.
yeah, the slow motion duck under the
Mhm.
yeah.
The thing about it, like as soon as like when I hit my duck, as soon as if my head ever beat like that armpit space, I was getting it, bro.
Oh
I
yeah,
was getting it.
yeah,
I was getting it.
100%, man.
yeah,
I got a good one here. I think you have pretty much won everything. Like you have won every tournament. What is your favorite trophy that you have ever gotten competing through
Yeah.
your youth till your senior level stuff now? Best
Yeah.
trophy, like just not like because it was like prestigious. I mean, coolest looking.
Yeah. Yeah. So back in the day, I say back in the day, like 10 years ago, probably, maybe a little more than that now. 10, 15 years ago, there was this tournament. I think it's still going on. It's called Tournament Champions in Ohio.
Yep.
And they always had these it was all glass. It was probably about like I could like put my hand around it like that tall. And they would have like little like crystals inside that depicted like the theme of the tournament. One year it was like a cart, and they did like cool cartoons with it. So like one year was a pirate, maybe like a dragon, like some type of like beasted animal or something like that, a lion. But that tournament, I always loved going to that tournament, and the format of it was always a ginormous tournament, but they didn't wrestle. It wasn't full matches. The matches were 1 3 minute period, and whoever had the most points at the end of that 3 minute period was the winner.
I like that.
So that tournament
wow.
was super fun to wrestle. But those awards, I was always excited to go get those awards. And towards I stopped going right before like middle school, right? Like but they would give out two-piece singlets when two-piece singlets started to get big. They always had really cool designs with those too. But like as soon as you said coolest award, like that was the first thing that popped in my head. I don't know where they are now. I'm sure my mom has them somewhere, but
Listen,
those
I always
those were
wanted
the
to know
nicest.
like what like did you have a trophy room? like growing up, or were your
I
was your,
had
was your stuff kind of
where
packed away?
where I lived, it was like you'd walk in the door and it wasn't a room, but like you'd walk in the door, you'd have a shoe room and then get into the house. And on like the first thing you saw was like it was my dad put up like some shelves on like that back wall as soon as you walked into the house. And that's where I put all my trophies and stuff. So it was the first thing you saw. And
Yeah.
it was cool, right? Like being able to like walk past those things every day and
Come home, put another one up there.
I'm
yeah, right
sure,
away, right? The first thing
and
you see when you walk in the door.
I like it that when you get older, like obviously you get to college and it becomes a little bit more formal. And I always loved the rings that you guys got. I feel like there was some
Gas,
super sick
gas,
hardware you
man.
guys got.
And they're even cooler now. Like I've seen a couple of the ones that the guys have had since I've graduated, but yeah, they're freaking awesome. I have all of those things. Like those things are not there's not a price on them for me, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, no.
you could offer me any amount of money, I'm not selling them to anybody. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
they're cool. Those are cool too.
definitely. And I mean, you've wrestled with or against the best wrestlers in the sport. You've come in contact with at some point. So this might be a little harder for you. Who's your 3 all-time favorite wrestlers? Top 3.
3 all-time favorite wrestlers. I'm gonna have to go Chenzo Joseph for
Yeah.
sure. We had a really good we have a really good relationship. He's one of my best friends.
I feel like you guys had some good
I love
scraps
watching
when
that
you were
dude
younger
wrestle.
too.
We wrestled. I don't know if we wrestled when we were kids. If we were kids, we wrestled one time at junior nationals.
Mhm.
He was beating me, but I kind of put the pace on him a little bit. And no, I did he was beating me. I took him down right at the end of the first period. I did an illegal gut that didn't get called. So I ended up winning that match. But that was the only time we wrestled. Um, and then so definitely Chenzo. I love watching that dude wrestle. I know he's gonna wrestle hard every time. Um, Getting into probably like older guys that don't compete anymore. I would say Kel Sanderson, right? Like dude, I'd be sitting in class in college watching Kel Sanderson matches. And I would search up on YouTube like any Kel Sanderson match I could find. Like not even like his like national championships. Like I didn't want to watch those ones. I wanted to watch when he was dueling like Oklahoma or like some small school or something. Those are the matches I like to watch for whatever reason. Um, so Kel Sanderson, and then lastly, I would have to say I don't want to pick another Penn State person. Um, someone I've always loved to watch wrestle is freaking Gable Steveson. I'm a big fan of Gable Steveson, bro. That guy, he has the best snaps, the best right like footwork for the people at his weight. Like, and the funny thing about it, like he's a few years younger than me, but when we were in high school, um, I would always go with him until he got too big. I wouldn't go with him anymore. I was afraid he'd hurt me or something, but that dude, I knew he was gonna be good. I knew it. Like I knew from the second I started wrestling when he was in 8th grade. I was like a junior in high school, so like I had a good experience with him, and like could tell at that point, like I could tell like kids at that age if they were going to be good or not. I
Yeah.
knew he was going to be good. So, Gable Steveson, also someone that I look up to a lot. He's a dog. He's got that dog in.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out Gable, man. Shout out Gable. We show a lot of love to him. I mean, kind of re-put the USA heavyweight on the map at the Olympics. He kind
Oh
of,
yeah,
we had some
Definitely.
awesome heavyweights in the past win Olympic gold, and you know, It's awesome. It was awesome to see what he did at such a young age too, man. Going out there and going to Tokyo and just really. I'm excited. He said he wants to do it again, so let's hope we see him.
Dude, he can. If I mean, here's the thing about it, like if he's got like, if he still has that like work ethic, and if he still has that like that champion mentality in him, he can do it. Like he'll do it. I know
Oh
he'll
yeah,
do
no
it.
doubt.
I'll never doubt
Yeah,
someone
that's
if he's
somebody you
capable.
never want to
You
bet
can't bet
against.
against him. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when he was losing at the Olympics and had like 7 seconds left, I was like, dude, he's gonna take him down.
Craziest turn,
There's certain
craziest.
there's certain people like that I have. Genzo's another one of them, but like watching people like that wrestle, like I'll never believe they've lost until they've lost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
crazy.
still won't believe it.
10 seconds of that
Yeah,
match. You don't have to
yeah,
show anybody the rest of the match. You just got to show them the last 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's that
Oh,
like
that's
it's
good.
crazy, man. And I think we got just a few more questions for you, Rosa. If you want to go ahead and let's get a little bit of Philly knowledge. I know
Food.
you're loving
Philly, yeah.
Philly.
Okay.
Best food
Yep.
place that you've eaten at in Philadelphia so far.
Best food place I've eaten at. I mean, there's a lot of them. I would say the one like most convenient and closest to me is this little place. It's literally like a block away from where I live. It's called La Escala. It's a Italian restaurant. Um, there I've tried like a couple dishes from there, but I really like their chicken parm. That place is
Chicken parm. We're
rocking.
hearing a
We're
lot of
hearing
chicken
a
parm.
ton of chicken
I'm a
parm.
chicken I'm a chicken parm guy, man. I love it. And then another one is have you guys heard of Reading Terminal Market?
Yeah.
Yep, there's a little Dutch. It's called Dutch Eating Place, but I think they're right in there. It's always busy. You got to go and like wait in line probably. But like it's not like a restaurant. Like you don't go like you find the first seat that's open, even if you're sitting between two people. Like you're sitting in that chair because like if not, someone else will. But it's really personal. The service is awesome. The food's really good. I love going to that spot too. Dutch Eating Place, I believe, is what it's called in
That's
Reading Terminal.
That's dope.
Shout out
Dope.
them.
Yeah,
Dope. Some local businesses, man. That's awesome to
yeah.
show some love to them, man. And final question for you. We've asked this question 160 times now to guys that have pretty much wrestled everywhere across the world. So I'm gonna do this one a little different. We're gonna throw you back one more time to Penn State. So you could take 3 of your old school Penn State teammates with you into the zombie apocalypse. Who would they be and why?
Without question, the first one's going to be Nick Lee. Without question, he is the root and toot and gunsman of us. Like that dude, and he's a savage. Um, so for sure, Nick Lee. I wouldn't even like you said zombie apocalypse. My first thing I was thinking was Nick Lee. Um, he's very intelligent, and I know like I would trust him with my life if that was the case.
Right.
Another one is Joey Bloomer. You might know Joey being from Pennsylvania, but I would pick him because he's not like a country guy, but he lives in like I think it's called Leechburg. It's a really small town, and he's also I won't call Joey intelligent, but I'll say he's clever. Right, he's a clever guy, and I know he's definitely the path of least resistance kind of person. Like I know if I have something that I need to do, I can go to Joe and he'll figure out the easiest way that I could do it. Right. So getting in a zombie apocalypse, like I know Joe's gonna figure out any way possible to find like get through things, finding the least amount of zombies possible.
So he's good at working smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that's Joe. And then lastly, hmm, I would probably pick. hmm, I mean, so many good options. Probably, okay. I would probably pick Mason Manville, because he was in the ROTC. So I know that dude knows how to shoot a gun. Like, there's not a question in my mind. And this is the case, right? Zombie apocalypse, and I'm making sure I have the best 3 people around me to allow me not to get eaten by zombies. Those are the 3 people to do it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Good lineup,
There
man.
it is, man.
Good lineup, man. Good. And you see, like,
Yeah.
I feel like some
Yeah.
guys build it. Some guys try to build it like a wrestling team, and I'm like, well, this isn't a wrestling team. You're not. Don't pick your top 3 best wrestlers.
Exactly.
This is like, you need to think about those guys that got deer heads hanging in their living room and like mounted fish in their walls. Like, those are the type of guys you want and on your side there, man. But
Exactly. Yep, that's
Mark,
Joey Bloomer and Mason Manville for you.
Mark, it has been an awesome opportunity to be able to sit down and talk with you. We really do appreciate your time, man, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds for you.
No problem, dude. I had a really good time with you guys too. Thank you.
Awesome, man. It's been
Course,
another
man.
episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. See you guys later.